Hey there everybody. So we're now ready to talk about how do we generate samples from our neural network. We have it trained, we've checked that the training is converging to what look like good values, and so we can try to do the sampling. So theoretically, how does this sampling work? The key idea to note is that this blue box right here, this blue tensor, out next cares, is actually representing a probability distribution. And what we're going to do is sample from that probability distribution. Turns out that there are many algorithms for sampling from probability distributions. If you've taken any sort of stochastic programming courses while you're here, you might have heard of something called Markov Chain Monte Carlo, or MCMC. That's one of the broadest category of families for sampling from distributions. And yeah, there's thousands of MCMC algorithms out there, all with different characteristics. We're going to implement a really simple one of those algorithms, and that it'll be good enough for our purposes, but you could definitely get much better results if we were to implement something more complicated. So first, let's talk about how this is a probability distribution, and then we'll talk about the greedy algorithm, it's called, that we'll use to sample from it. So why is this a probability distribution? The key idea is to remember that inside of this vector here, there's one real number in that vector, one real number for each class that we're trying to predict. In this case, those classes are the letters that we're trying to predict. And there's one real number for each of those. Again, those numbers are called the logits. We've talked about that in class before spring break. And when we have the logits, if we apply the softmax function to the logits, that converts this set of real numbers into a set of numbers between 0 and 1 that all sum up to 1. And so that's our probability distribution. And each one of these columns, after applying the softmax, is a probability distribution over what the next character should be given all of the previous characters. Our algorithm is called the greedy algorithm that we're going to use to do this sampling. And it's very simple. At each step, so we start with the first letter and we just randomly sample from that distribution. And then whatever the result is, we pick that and condition the next value on the previous value, sample from the next value. Repeat that step, sampling until we sample the $sign character, because remember the $sign is what we're using for the end of the string. And so once our sample says we've hit the end of the string, that means we're done, and whatever our result is the in this case, the name that we've sampled. There are many more algorithms for doing this sampling that can give you much better results. A really popular one is called beam search for recurrent neural networks. That's sort of like the standard that people use in practice. Google Translate, for example, uses beam search when they're generating translations. But we're gonna, for now at least, focus just on this simple greedy search algorithm. Okay, so that's all the theory. I'll see you in the next video to talk about the code.